Well, I'm out today for a short nature walk in one of my local parks. I wanted to share with you all today how I've been feeling since I finished my through hike a few months ago. Not gonna lie, this is a pretty hard thing to share just because it feels very personal and it makes me feel vulnerable, but I feel like it's something that I want to share, not only because I think it helps me, but hopefully more so it helps others not only understand what goes through a through hiker's mind after they finish a trail, at least my mind. Obviously I can't speak for all through hikers, but I want to be real because I just feel like, particularly in these times where so much of what people share on social media and that's out there, it's kind of like the highlights or the best versions of ourselves and not always the reality. And I think it's taken a toll on our mental health. Plus, with the way I've been feeling lately and doing research and finding more about what post-trail depression looks like for other hikers, it's helped me feel more, it's helped me relate more. It's helped me to relate to others and not feel like there's something wrong with me and that I should be feeling differently after finishing a through hike. Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you may have seen where I have talked about, prior to doing a through hike, that I suffer from depression and anxiety. I do have pretty frequent anxiety. It's just kind of part of my personality. And I have periods of depression, and it kind of comes and goes. While I was on the trail, though, I felt pretty good. I didn't really, I don't really remember having any periods where I felt the depression, coming on or anything like that. I did sometimes have some anxiety, but it was definitely a lot less when I was out on the trail. And for the first month when I got off trail, I felt pretty good. I was really busy. I had a lot of projects on my plate. I still have a lot of projects, but sorry, my hair is bothering me. I should have put it in braids. Anyway, I think with the fact that I had just come off the trail, and when you're hiking every day, you're exercising every day, I just wanted to rest. I was ready for a break. So there was sort of that relief when you first got off the trail of, wow, I don't have to hike every day now, yay. But about after a month of being off trail, I could feel the depression starting to creep back up again. And so, you hear, I'm sure you have probably heard a lot of other hikers talk about having post-trail depression, and depending on who, what you read or who you talk to, it varies on how they feel. The kind of the consensus is that they just miss hiking, they miss being on the trail. But I can tell you, as someone who suffers from depression outside of hiking, it's actually just depression, or at least it has been for me. And of course, I cannot speak for anyone else, but just what I've been dealing with is kind of that feelings of hopelessness, feeling alone, feeling like I feel like now I don't have a purpose. There's something about doing a through hike that when you're out there every day and you're exercising every day or almost every day, you're not only building up these endorphins, which of course is going to help you to feel happier, to feel better, but you feel like, you have a goal in mind. There's a goal you're trying to reach, and as long as every day you're getting closer and closer to that goal, you feel like you're accomplishing something. So even though I went through a range of emotions while I was out on the trail, and it was most definitely for me the toughest thing I've ever done in my life, both physically and mentally, since getting off the trail, and particularly over the past month, a little over the past month, I've been finding myself feeling worse in regards to the feelings of depression than I ever did prior to hiking. And I'm still trying to work through those feelings. I feel like in many ways I'm starting to kind of come out of that fog and I feel a little bit better, which I think is one of the reasons why I feel like I can talk about it now. But one of the things when I'm feeling the depression. You know, I don't want to interact on social media, things like that. But I wanted to talk about this today because if you're someone who has done a thru hike and you're dealing with the post-trail depression, or just even if you're someone who's dealing with depression and anxiety in general, or if you're someone who's, say, planning to do a thru hike, I hope that I'm able to convey a little bit of the realities of what it's like post-hike. And at least, like I said, my reality. I cannot speak for everyone, but I like to believe that I'm not so incredibly different from every other person in the world, that my feelings are just strictly unique and that no one else is dealing with this. I know I have read a lot of other articles and things like that about post-trail depression, and a lot of the other hikers, things that I have read are very similar, you know, to how I feel in many ways. A little different in some ways. Some people are just very much missing hiking, but I think there's something about when you're out on the trail, you're just a different person in many ways. And I think it's because you're just out in the woods with the trees and the rocks, roots, and dirt, and you can just be yourself completely. You don't feel that anxiety, or you know, you're overthinking yourself too much. And also, when you're on the trail, you're basically just a rock star to everyone you come in contact with. I mean, people are like, oh, you're thru hiking, oh, that's amazing, oh, how much further do you have to go? Or, you know, they're offering you food and rides and shelter. And I mean, people are just, they treat you like a celebrity. And I'm not even talking about whether you do YouTube or not or anything like that. I'm just talking about as a thru hiker, as someone out doing a long distance hike, you're just treated in a way that at first can seem very overwhelming, but you come to like really enjoy it, and it builds your confidence and it boosts your self-esteem. And when you get off the trail, for a brief moment, people are excited for you. They're very happy. They're congratulatory. And I don't think this is anything that anyone does intentionally. It's just the realities. And the realities are, once you're done with your hike, life just kind of goes back to life. And I mean, to the, you know, the life, maybe not quite the same, but still everyday life. And as the saying is, life goes on. And it becomes where people just don't necessarily really care about your hike, at least not in the sense of they're excited to hear about it, or they're excited to know what's happening. I think it's more in the moment when you're doing it, there's that excitement of what's coming, what's going to happen. But once you've done it, once you've completed it, I think people still think highly of you. It's just not that same thing you experience when you're out on the trail, when you're out in the middle of the hike. And I can see why, with so many different things that you're experiencing while you're on the trail, how you feel, just the simplicity of the repetitive things that you do every day. I can see why so many hikers want to go back and redo a hike or do another long trail. I can completely understand that. And I've even had moments where I felt like that's what I need to do. I just need to go back out and do a long distance hike. But having a husband and kids, and I just don't really want to do that, especially don't want to do that without my husband at this point. I don't want to be gone for months at a time. And so I'm sure that's played some role into how I've been feeling, just knowing that another several month hike is probably not in the cards for me. Another thing that's caused me to feel a deeper sense of depression since getting off the trail is, prior to hiking, I quit my job, which is something a lot of thru hikers do. They quit their job, sometimes they sell their house or leave their apartment, they sell their car. They give up a lot of things. I mean, that a lot of people do to fulfill a dream. And sometimes it's that calling and that yearning is so strong that you're willing to sacrifice everything for it. And for me, although I don't feel like I sacrificed everything, because I have a husband at home and everything, but I did quit my job, and I quit a good job, a job that I didn't necessarily want or need to quit, as far as it was a good job. But I quit it because I really wanted this more than anything. But it's one of those things where I don't think you think as much about it prior to hiking, what the consequences are once you're done with your hike. And I think even there's some kind of misconceptions, or I certainly feel like even for myself, this was a misconception, is you go out there with the idea that you have these big goals or big dreams, and even if you fulfill them, sometimes it becomes what's next? What now? What? And it's, well, I don't know what else to do but go hike again. And sometimes that's just not feasible. And you have to go back out into the regular world. And for me, I didn't have a job waiting. I still don't have a job waiting. I'm looking. But you start to feel like you don't know if you want that same thing again. And then even if you do want that same thing, it's not always just an easy, okay, here you go. Some people are lucky enough to have job offers waiting, things like that. That wasn't the case for me. I'm still looking. And I think in some ways that's mentally taking a toll. I'm very fortunate and lucky that I have my husband, and I did save up enough money, to be able to take a little bit longer to find, a permanent job. But it still takes a toll. And I think one of the biggest things being the fact that I just don't feel like I have that sense of purpose right now. And I think that's getting past that feeling that, well, I'm not hiking now, so what do I have to do with my life? What is my life now? Is it just what we could think of as the mundane daily life we were living prior to hiking? I also think that a lot of those who choose to do a long distance hike have that personality where they enjoy challenges and they enjoy accomplishing big things, and almost what they call, type 2 fun, type A fun. I'm not sure exactly, I can't remember. But where, doing the hard stuff is what's enjoyable. And it's, again, what gives you that sense of accomplishment. And when you're not doing those things, you start to feel like, okay, now, what do I have to offer at this point? And I think that, of course, is something, if you deal with depression outside of hiking, you'll feel that way at times. You feel not good enough. You feel like you don't have a whole lot to offer, that you're not liked, that you're not significant, that you're alone in how you feel, and that no one really cares or wants to hear about your issues or problems. And like I said, this was a difficult video for me to even do, because I say to myself, does anyone care to hear about this? But for me, I'm trying to think, who needs to hear this? Not so much as do they want to hear it, but who needs to hear it? And I know for me, as someone coming off the trail, just knowing that others are going through the same grief and the same feelings and the same mindset, maybe there's a comfort there. Maybe I can relate to the point that I don't feel completely alone, and to think that I can come out of this and be okay. So I hope, if you're watching this and you are someone who's hiked and you're feeling this way, you're not alone. If you're considering doing a through hike, just have those expectations that life may not be drastically changed after your hike. And in fact, a lot of the things you sacrifice, just have to take into consideration what the consequences will be from that. And that's not in any way meant to be a discouragement to not do it through hike or anything like that. It's just to have that expectation. Have the expectation that you kind of know what you're getting yourself into, and that maybe even question, what am I going to do after this hike? When I'm just another person like everyone else, and I'm not a hiker, what am I going to do? What is my life going to look like? And kind of prepare for that. I think that helps. I think getting outdoors as much as you can helps. I think that's one of the disadvantages. So as a through hiker, most hikers are finishing their hike by at least like September, some October, and then of course for me, it was December. So you're finishing in winter. You're finishing right before winter. So it's cold, it's wet, usually snowy, rain, whatever. And so you don't really want to get outside. Or you can't, whichever. So that takes the toll. You're stuck inside, whereas you've been outside all this time. And they even talk about seasonal depression, which I think in some ways is just depression, but it just gets amplified because of the fact that you're stuck in the house. The weather is like today, it's kind of gloomy, although there's birds, which is nice. But I just know for me personally, once I was able to kind of start going outside more, the weather started improving. It has helped me in many ways. I am planning to do another through hike of the Foothills Trail. That's coming up soon. It's just 77 miles. It's a pretty short hike, but it's already made me feel a lot better just knowing that I have that coming. I mean, I definitely think exercising helps to some degree, but it doesn't get rid of it. I just personally don't think that there's a cure for it. It's just something you have to kind of struggle and deal with, and you have to find ways that work best for you to deal with it, whatever that looks like. But obviously it can be a very dangerous illness. And I think for me, in this day and age, mental health is something we shouldn't be afraid to talk about. It is part of the world. It is part of so many people's lives. And I think particularly with the internet and social media being such a large part of everybody's life nowadays, I think it's brings out the depression and anxiety in more and more people and becomes more prominent. And I know one of the things with I'm going through the depression is I find myself comparing myself to others and feel like I don't measure up. And I think that's a lie. And I think it's because social media has us showing only the best parts of ourselves. And even people who make YouTube videos, we have a tendency to make the videos we think other people want to watch instead of being ourselves or showing the realities of things. I know that's one of the things with on a through hike, and those who choose to video it, a lot of times they're not showing how they're feeling. And I can just tell you from doing a through hike and from all the people I interacted with on the trail is there's a lot of times you're going to feel bored. A lot of times it's mundane. A lot of times that it's not really even enjoyable. You get almost kind of aggravated with it because you're doing it every day. And it's just something that's just part of it. And your body physically is so uncomfortable and exhausted that it's hard to conjure up positivity all day long. And that's one of the reasons so many through hikers will question, why am I doing this? Why am I even doing this? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's just what it means to do a through hike, and one of the reasons why it's such an accomplishment. But I just think it would be nice if we could all start showing a little more authenticity. I think the world needs it. I think we all need it. I think for our mental health, we all need it, because I think it helps us see that our lives aren't maybe as bad as we think they are, and the grass isn't always greener. And that doesn't mean don't strive for your goals or don't try to accomplish things in life. It just means have a little bit of a realistic expectation of what it looks like trying to reach those goals. And at least that's what I think. But anyway, well, I think I'm going to end this video. I probably rambled on quite a bit. I hope that in some way I've been able to help you watching this, whether it's you deal with depression, anxiety, whether you're a past through hiker dealing with post-trail depression, whether you're an upcoming through hiker, or if just to help understand me better. Like I said, this is not all of me, just a small portion of who I am as a person, but these are some things I've been dealing with, and I don't think it defines me, but it is part of me, and I think that's okay. So I hope you think you're okay with the way you are. So anyway, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for taking the time to spend with me today and listen. Hope I've been helpful to you. And I do have some more videos coming out very soon. You guys are awesome. I hope you have a wonderful week and happy hiking. See you on the next video.